Hi, and welcome back to Let's Play Crusader Kings 2 as the Sheikhdom of Cadiz. When we last left off, we were just looking around Spain, and we noticed that we could take over this territory. We got our Casus Belli, so we're probably going to do that this episode. But first, I thought it'd be interesting and fun to look around a little bit at the world to see what's going on and what's changed. Perhaps a little bit of historical background is in order. So the first thing I noticed when I was looking at this earlier was that the King of France is now... So here's the Capets, which is the historical kings of France, and this is probably the most prestigious family in all of European history. It controlled the French kingdom and many, many others throughout history. But the king is of the de Toulouse family, which I am not familiar with. So I thought that was interesting. And the Capet family in this game is actually going to die because there's only one more member, and she is a female with a non-matrilineal marriage, and she is going to be she has married the Prince of Denmark, and so the Capet family is going to die, and that is very funny. Also, you can also see that the somewhere in here is the Habsburg family, which is a very, very famous European noble family as well. Here they're only counts. This is in the early days of their house, but they're doing all right. They have several male heirs, some good people coming up, so there's someone to look at. I might follow them a little bit, but other than that, it's nothing too crazy has gone on in the world. It looks like. You know, Africa's kind of a mess. Almoravids are doing pretty well though, which is actually not great. I would like it more if they were a little bit more cut up, but they seem to be pretty strong under this gentleman, Abu Bakr the Wise. The Zogbadids, you know, I don't even know who these guys are. The other Islamic folk here, this is very, very troubling in a lot of ways, because if you look, the Seljuks, which were the main power in Islam for around 200 years, probably until around the Mongol invasion, are pretty bad off right now. It looks like there's been a lot of fragmentation. They didn't handle their vassals well. The Byzantine Empire is doing okay. They're at war with about everybody. And the Russians are doing pretty well. Looks like they've taken this area. When you start is sort of more like this. It's a hodgepodge of small duchies. Russians seem to have done pretty well in curbing that. The Vikings are still Vikings. Swedes are still Swedes, and you know, England has been taken over by the Normans, as is historically accurate. Ireland is still a mismatch of a hodgepodge of all sorts of crazy business, and Spain is even more confusing than ever because this area is now Abadid. Speaking of which, because of the reality of this game, I need to readdress my strategy. So if you recall from episode 2, my original strategy was going to be to form Andalusia, and I still plan to do that. But the problem is that I cannot expand because I have been taken over by this guy, and I cannot really, once you get taken over, you're locked into expansion within that territory unless you're able to rebel, and I am not, because I'm only one county. So the only way I can expand is over here, and that does several things that I'm not exactly pleased with, but I have to deal with. First of all, it'll put me in conflict with this de jure holding of Galicia, which is a Christian kingdom. That means that I will be vulnerable to crusades if they feel like it. Also, it means that I am going to be in this guy's sights, the King Alfonso of Leon, who looks like has both the Kingdom of Galicia and the Kingdom of Leon under his thumb. It's fairly strong. I would say it's definitely at least a match from our emirate, but luckily, if they were to declare war, we'd be basically fighting these, and we are stronger than all of those. So that's the situation with that. But he might do damage to my area, but I have really no choice, as I said. The third thing is that it is a Catholic area. This whole area is Catholic. So that means that I'll have to spend time and resources to convert the populace, which is frustrating, but it's just necessary. Again, I don't have much options. I have to basically expand in this area. So that's what we're going to do this episode. We're going to begin the war to expand, and while we do that, this is going to be the first actual war that I will be fighting. As you remember, I was in a war earlier, but I didn't actually have to do anything. So this time it will be more hands-on. So our current goal, short-term goal, I want to take over all 4 of these areas. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually prepare for that. And this Grand Vizier is still in Castelblanco, even though he's done a great job. So I'm going to actually recall him and put him in Columbra so that I get started on the next area. Second, I'm going to have this guy train troops in Cadiz. I'm going to have this guy. He's going to continue to perform charity, but this is going to be what I'm going to do once I take over this area. I need to convert the populace. I do not have a great chance of that, but it's just what I have to do. The Spy Master is doing okay. Again, this guy's fine. We just need to really prepare a little bit before we go to our first war, because we will probably win this war, just basically due to the fact that I control these 2 territories myself, and also, as well as the main territory, and the fact that I've built up the areas so much that they are giving me plenty of troops. So we are going to do that. This guy he doesn't actually mind me that much, even though I still took over his area. So I think it's time we declared war on this guy. So we're claiming Castelblanco, and some people have this interesting belief, and I have not found it to be the truth, is that the liege will intervene in a war between vassals, and that doesn't really happen. Generally, especially if you're under an emir, you can declare war on anyone you want. There are ways that the liege can influence a war. So for example, if I were to be French, the king could have crown authority, which would then limit my abilities to do certain things. And one of the early things that they do is they would make it so that you can't really declare war on just anyone you want. You have to lower the crown authority before you can. Because I'm under an emirate, this is not an issue, and it's something that it's one of the main reasons I try to shoot for a kingdom fast, is so that I can become a king and limit my vassals from declaring war on each other. That is the key thing that I find is extremely important in keeping your vassals under control, because otherwise they're going to do exactly what I'm about to do, which is make war on smaller counts and absorb them into my own demesnes, and then I'm able to actually challenge the king or the emir or whoever for supremacy. It's a bad idea when you're playing. It's useful for when you're under someone, so just keep that in mind. So let's actually get started here. I'm going to, first of all, you have to declare war on them before you do anything, so let's do that. We're going to claim Castelblanco. Now we are at war, and we are also in this war. So, this is a war against, this is a war between Muslims. It's not really a big deal. Our war is far more interesting and important at this moment. We are just trying to conquer this area. So we could call in allies. I don't see why we should. I might as well ask. This guy can join us, but he's probably not going to. Let's do it. We're going to raise our troops here. I always raise it from this window. You can also raise it from this window, and the main benefit to that is you can do raise realm levies as opposed to raise vassal levies. And the reason that that's beneficial is because you don't piss off your vassals while doing it. I prefer to just raise them from the county because it seems like you get more that way sometimes. I can't speak for why. In this case, it doesn't look like that's true, so I'm going to actually just do it from here. These are my personal levies, so this is exactly how many I can raise, and this is going to be my vassal levies, the combination of which makes this. Now I'm going to set up my team. Usually when you're king or something like that, you can choose who you want leading your army. Right now I can't do that. Otherwise I would definitely put this guy in charge or something like that, but I'm not able to, so never mind. Now we gotta march these guys over here. I suspect I'm not going to have much resistance. Yeah, I don't think that I'm gonna have really any resistance. I don't think that this guy's very strong. I think that because of all these problems, it's been recently conquered, and it's a different religious group. He's gonna have a big problem getting troops from this territory, and these are gonna be issues that I will have upon taking over it. It's a very unfortunate thing. But you know, I need this territory. Any territory you get is good. Even though that in this case it's not ideal, I would have much preferred getting something around here. But so this is something that happens when you're at war, and I'll talk a little bit about this. The longer you are at war, the more your vassals dislike you, and that is because they're having to support it. So if you keep your vassal levies raised very, very long term, you will start to see this rating, this opinion rating, go down the toilet. And that is actually extremely important to remember, because if you have a vassal that's on the fence, my guy likes me enough so that I don't care about him, and his levy is so minor that I can dismiss it if I need to. But if you have a vassal that's on the fence, that's teetering around 0%, or even in the low, even slightly below 0%, you need to keep an eye on this, because otherwise his rebellious chances will increase. That's a key difference between personal levies and vassal levies. So what's going on here is we're besieging this area. So Castella Branco itself. So this county, just like mine, has, well, actually mine is slightly bigger, but this county has 3 regions basically. There's the capital, there's a city, and then there's a mosque. You have to actually successfully siege all of these in order for it to work well. And notice that this guy is doing exactly what I'm doing. He is taking over this territory from his enemy over here. So this guy is likely going to be my rival before long. So these are events you'll get. I'm going to go over these one time each, because you'll see them frequently enough, and then afterwards I won't mention them again. So here, this is saying that our intrigue has advanced the siege. This is beneficial for us because we're the attacker. And the thing is, you want this. You can assault the wall. It's decent when you have a lot more troops and you're really in a hurry. I don't want to do that because my men are more valuable than the time at the moment. Here you can see exactly how much morale they're losing every 12 days. So the goal is to get this bar all the way to the bottom, and once you do that, you'll take over the area. It'll capitulate, and you'll have one of these areas, and you want it. It depends. Like, it's not necessary to always take over everything entirely. That's probably going to be necessary in this war, because the war score, which is this rating here, will probably only go to 100% before he'll capitulate. And in order to do that, I have to literally take over everything in the county. If I were fighting something bigger like this emirate, I would probably take over 4 or 5 maybe, and then I wouldn't need to. You know, he would cede the province or whatever. But anyway, I don't like the fact that this guy is trying to take over another territory. Luckily, I'm looking at his spot, and my province is far superior. So here I lost. So here's another thing where I lost troops. I lost 1% because of raiders attacking us during the siege. So for some reason, Abu Bakr in this area is on my land. I think he's helping me out or something. I'm not really sure what he's doing, but he's not besieging us, so that's not a terrible thing. We are about to win this siege. We're going to win it in a few days, so let's continue. Yeah, so it uses 4.6% every 12 days. We won this siege, siege Castella Branco, and in order to actually siege something, this number, the attacking, has to be higher than a defending. So that's extremely important to remember, because that means that if you have, like, for example, this 7 were to go onto my territory, I would just ignore it, because it wouldn't actually be of any threat at all. It can't get through my walls. And that's what fort level is for. Fort level lets you basically raise more and more men in the levy and in the defending garrison. So here I got some disease struck out, so I lost 5% of my men. So you'll note that we're down from 780 men to 680 men. Okay, great. The mayor likes me more because this guy did some charity. I don't know if that's permanent or not. It might just be a little while, like a few year thing. I bet that that's what it is, but I'm not positive. So here we go. This is an event that fires at this time when, you know, the assassins historically were created. The Hashashin. Anyone who likes Assassin's Creed games like I do kind of gets a little bit tickled by this. It's kind of neat. And you'll start to see little things where people get killed. Like certain people will get assassinated by the assassins. And you have to kind of worry a little bit about them as a ruler. They're not really that much of a threat. But it's pretty interesting that they include this in this game, because they were a historical force. Okay, so we won that siege, and now he's at 100%. So we're going to pause it, and then we're going to offer peace to him. And so I always like to check the demands, see the specifics of what's going to happen when I win the war. So I'm going to gain the Sheikhdom of Castelo Branco. I'm going to gain 100 prestige, and this guy's going to lose 100 prestige as well as his title. I feel bad about doing this to this guy because he did nothing to me, but it's just a matter of, hey, I need the territory, so let's do it. Yes, we are totally beaten. He has no choice but to capitulate. I've usurped the title of Sheikhdom of Castelo Branco from this guy. Now he despises me, and I want him somewhere else. I don't want him in my area. So he is now in the mosque of... Okay, he's in Castellon, which is somewhere else. I have no idea where that is. This guy is actually independent. Very interesting. Makes me wonder where exactly he is. Okay, he's here. So that guy moved all the way here. So he is an enemy we now have, and we need to be aware of. Something I always do as soon as I finish a war is I disband the unit. And you always want to read this and make sure you're disbanding in an area where they will all be able to return home safely, because sometimes if you're in an enemy area or something like that, they will only a certain percentage of them will come home, and that's bad because you want as many troops as possible. So this levy has now raised. Like we can get more even than what we had, which is nice. Notice that this area we cannot raise any troops here at all. And that, I don't know why that is. So anyway, I'm going to continue with what we're doing. We're going to try to convert this population. And I think we should look at this situation here. We should see exactly what's going on. I mean, it's interesting that that's the case, because it looks like they're fairly robust in terms of what they've created. So, I don't know why we can't get anybody. Having the same problem that guy was having. So, let's continue. We now have a little bit more territory. So that's very good. And we can claim now we are his most powerful count. And rightly so. So we already were, because Cadiz was more built up than any of his other territories. So I'm not sure. All that did was give us a little more land in our demesnes. And now we have some new vassals. Okay, here's our crusade. This is a crusade that always fires around this time, and it is against the Caliph of the this emirate, and we can join the war if we want to. Okay, so we have to do this. We have to convert these people, but this is a risk. We could get religious tension, and that's what just happened. And now these two guys like me less than they did, and it's just something we have to deal with. I always like to, as soon as I see revolt risk, I always do this. 1 second. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Anyway, so, you know, it's just something to be aware of. So now I'm going to continue with trying to conquer these areas. All of these places have 0 men raisable, so it's almost not even worth doing. But you know, I'm hoping that we can figure out exactly what the problem is, so that we can remedy it. I suspect it's this. I suspect it's that they don't have Sunni Islam traits, and so they're not willing to be raised. Yeah, exactly. So because they're not Sunni, he had 0. Once we convert our population to Sunni, we should be fine. We may have a revolt. If we have to put down a revolt, that's not something that I'm worried about, because I kind of would not be that surprised. We have a very, very low chance with this current court imam. I'd like to get a better one, because you know, as seems logical, you have a better chance of converting the province with a higher rating. In fact, my guy has a very high rating. He would be perfect, but I have a pretty good guy right here. 14. You know, this is the guy that I would probably want to use. Okay, so my wife wants me to get rid of this guy. He's my steward. He's not great, but I don't want to take her advice, because she's just my wife. So our construction went up in Cadiz. That's good. About time. Okay. Not a whole lot to do, really. We're waiting on our men to fabricate claims, and we're waiting on our guy to convert this populace. It'd be really useful if we could get this one, because that'll actually give us troops. And the second that we are able to take over this area and convert this one, it'd be wise to go to war with this guy and try to take it over. And then we'll have all of the de jure. Notice that this is a duchy. So this right here is its own duchy. Our liege, actually, I believe, owns the title, which is pretty bad, really. But we can probably demand it of him if we have the entire thing. Okay, so now my wife is pregnant. Let's hope it's a girl. Another boy wouldn't be too bad. So we lost some prestige because heathens attacked him. He's really not doing a great job. I want to get him. I want to get a new guy. Unfortunately, I cannot dismiss him. He is my permanent court imam. The only way I could get rid of him is to kill him, which I don't want to do, because it costs me 50 gold, or I get tyranny. Neither is worth it. So let's just hope that he can do his job and actually manage to convert this populace. It looks very, very low, though. Like almost 2% yearly. Forget it. It's probably not going to happen. So we have this money. Might as well use it. Let's continue to upgrade this area. I'm going to try to find... Okay, so this reinforcement's pretty good. It's all good. Let's do this. Castle Revolt. How about this area? So, this area, we can build a bigger moat, more levies, size. This is what we want. And here we go. Same sort of thing in the castle. I guess we'll upgrade this too. So that takes a little over a year for each of those things. We have a guy in there doing construction, which is good. It looks bad. We are being invaded by the Holy Roman Empire. And I think he's invading this area. Ooh. Whoa. Holy Roman Emperor is no joke. Okay, so I got a daughter. Okay, Kareem. That sounds fine. So, you know, it's naming after me. So I guess here, let's look at this. This is our vassal. If we kill him again, we will, you know, get this title. Now, last time I did this, I was able to imprison him and then kill him, and that worked out fine. But I'm not going to do that as Kareem because I'm only 22. Before I was in my late 60s, I knew my guy was going to die soon, so the tyranny didn't really matter that much. This time it would really matter, so I'm going to go ahead and not worry about that. I really don't like the fact that the Holy Roman Emperor is over here. It's frightening. He's got 10,000 men. I might need to help them out. We're losing this war. Looks like. Yeah, they're kicking our butt. This is the problem. This is why we need to unify Islam. We're getting killed by the Holy Roman Empire, which is, in this game, it is incredibly funny that it's so strong. It's in real life, you know, it was always sort of never that strong because it was always so divided. You could but in this game, these emperors have serious power. They're the biggest threat, actually, if you play in that region, by far. So anyway, we're going to continue. I'm not going to worry too much about them right now, because I don't want to worry about them. They're over here. Okay. Wonderful. Lucinda has converted to the Sunni faith. That actually probably doesn't matter that much, but that's just some positive news at last from that dude. You know, this guy is trying his best, but he's not very competent. He's only a mediocre. He's a competent scholar. He's not very gifted. Not like us. If we were the one there, we would have done much better. He's also syphilis. He has syphilis, which is pathetic for a guy who is supposed to be a holy man. I don't much like it. Doesn't seem like much of a holy man. So, I'm still waiting on you, buddy. Okay, well, I got the mosque. Just waited it out. Got a little lucky, I guess. So, wonderful. We're going to take it. So now, it's time for our second war. We're going to battle this guy.